This. Merci beaucoup. Muchas gracias. Okay, now, as I always just mention about why we have to just practice Zazen is, although we are ourselves, unfortunately, but we don't know much about who we are. This is the most important question for us to just to do. You know much about the things is what you are thinking about yourself, the entirely different from who we are. This is the problem. This is the thing. That's the reason. That's the reason we have to just do Zazen. Otherwise, you never just realize who you are. Only Zazen, you'll be able to just realize who you are. The first person who just realized this truth is the Shakyamuni Buddha. Although he didn't know much about how to do in order to just realize who he was, but he has of course he has a lot of the problem, question, and trouble, and eventually, very fortunately, he realized who he was. Then after that, he never just came down to the place where the people just living. The reason why, because he just realized completely different from what we just thinking about ourselves. So that he wanted just the mention about what he just realized. But what he just realized is completely different from what he just expected to just realize who he was. Entirely different. So that he thought, if he just mentioned about this, nobody understands. Nobody understands what he just mentioned about, even in concept. That's the reason he didn't want to just calm down the place where the people just living, because the people have a lot of place. So that he wanted to just mention about how the people will be able to just be released by the kind of the suffering or trouble question. But he knew that, but he didn't want to just calm down, because if he just mentioned about this, nobody just understand what he realized. Then the people just the people who just became his disciple came up with I don't know much the place where the Shakyamuni just stayed. Then people just asked him what he just realized, but he just refused to just answer, because even that he just mentioned about what he just read. The people just come up to the mountain, never understand what he just mentioned about. The many times he just refused. They are just offered. But so many times just people come up. Then he just decided to just mention about what he just read. Then what happened is some of them just accept what he he realized in concept. Some of them just understand what he just realized. Then Shakyamuni Buddha, well, in a sense, Shakyamuni Buddha is surprised to just, I don't know much about the people who just understand what he just mentioned. Then he decided to teach what he realized, because even just in concept, some of the people will be able to just understand what he just realized. This is the things. This is the things. So many times people just came up and they asked him to ask him to just for just mention about what he just realized. But why he just realized that even he just mentioned about it, nobody just understood. This is the thing. That much, what he just realized is different, entirely different from what we are thinking about ourselves. See, true ourselves is entirely different from what we just think about ourselves. Entirely the difference between heaven and the earth, that's much entirely different. But the things is, unfortunately, we are just same creation, exactly same creation of the Shakai Buddha. So if we just do sincerely, we just do we just practice Zazen sincerely, we'll be able to just realize what just Shakyamuni Buddha realized. This is Zazen. This is Zazen. This Zazen, the Shakyamuni Buddha or the patriarchs just recommend us to do. Otherwise, even you just do a Zazen, you never be able to just realize who you are. Okay? Then, Inoue Genroshi, who just realized exactly the same as what the Shakyamuni realized. Then he just mentioned about how we'll be able to just realize who we are, what truth is. Then today, I would like to just mention about the text or the item number 14. It says, form is emptiness. Emptiness is a form. This is the saying in the Heart Sutra. Hanya Shinyo, Heart Sutra. Okay. And you know much about what the Heart Sutra is. Heart Sutra, I think. It's mentioned, although it's as far as Japanese is concerned, it's a 265 words, letters. Then it's just completely just teach us who we are. Only 265 letters. Then it's just teach us what the truth is, who we are. It's a very short the teaching or saying, but precisely who we are, what the truth is. And then this is a form with emptiness, and emptiness is a form is the most difficult, most difficult and most hard, most hard and mostly hard to understand what it is. Form is emptiness. Form is emptiness is, you see, as long as the thinking or thought, when you just recognize the things, see, then the just form just come up, and then you just at the same time you just recognize the entity of the form, entity of form, but not is that is not true. The thing is it's just form. Just when you see this, when you see this, when you see this, just kind of figure or shape or the form, it's just come out in our eyes. That's it. Without entityness and then substance, just come out and they disappear. Nothing left at all. But as far as thinking, you just recognize the entity of home. This is the cause of trouble, question, or suffering. The thing is, as I just mentioned about, just when I see this one, it's just come on, just come on, as it is. As it is doesn't mean doesn't involve the shape, the entity of shape of the shape of the figure or so and so. That's as it is, and it disappears. So nothing is there. Nothing is. So that's as long as the things is just coming up as it is, so that it doesn't just cause us any trouble. So this is the things we really just figure out. Otherwise, we just chase or just follow the kind of the entity of the shape or entity of the form. Then try to just figure out what so and just happen. But we don't need to do it. Just come out and it disappears. That's it. That things today we just wanna just study. Jinen Roshi, what did Jinen Roshi just mention about the number 4? There is, excuse me, there is nothing special that people see things and things exist. You see, as I just mentioned, when I just see this, when I see this, see the things, the things I just face just come up in my eyes. That's it. Just come out. And when I see this, the things I just face just come out in my eyes. But these things, this is completely disappeared. Completely disappeared. But what just people think is still something just remain or something left here. This causes trouble. Only this one, thinking. With thinking something still there is something left. Nothing left. Take a look at your eyes. Nothing left. The eyes just completely just become distant. Oh. This is the things what just mentioned about. There is nothing special when I face this. I just become this. See, No different. No different at all between this one and this. I just face this. I just become this. Then I just turn to this way. I just become this. Then completely disappear. See, nothing left. Nothing left. So what the people just thinking about the trouble, the question, or the suffering, never just happy, because eh, every time, whatever just I faced, I just simply just become the things I faced, and they completely the the things I faced is disappeared and become this 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 this. Hi, this is our truth. There is nothing special that the people see the things and the things exist because the things and ourselves. What do people think about ourselves? No different at all, no separation at will. Because no separation. When I just face this, I simply just did. Why we have to just become this? See? Why we have to, without doing anything, simply just, we just become this, the, this, the. See? What prove it, what this situation, what states just proves us is nothing, no one, or nothing just exists. What we just thinking about ourselves or the self. Nothing happened. Nothing exists. That's the reason I just face this. I just face this. I just become this. Then face this. I just become this. See? What we think about the self never intervene. Why? Inside. Anyway. You see? What we think about ourselves never exists. Hi. There is nothing special that people see things and things exist. That's the mention about. Outside the place where you are now, there are various things like a calendar, mountain, and the flowers. Not thinking about the concept. In concept. Oh, there is, oh, this is this, this is that, that is this. There's so many things just come up in your mind, Although there are so many things coming up in your mind, but that's only thinking, no entity itself. Or what people just think about is the things just come up in your mind. It's oh, with entity. That is just thinking, no entity at all. So, without entity, why we have to just take care of the kind of thinking that's coming up in your mind? Only thinking, without the entity. Just like when you face this, it's just come out. Just come out. Without the entity. We will see this without, because we just are the entity. That's the reason just disappear, completely disappear and just become this. This is our truth. Without entity, what are you thinking about the self? So why we have to just take care of the kind of thinking or thought? all of them kind of calendar, mountains, flowers, all of them seems to be outside of you, what people just thinking about. When do you start? When do you start to think such? When you do start, to such as to start to think such as, oh, it's when do you start to think such? See, this is entirely different from our truth, through ourselves. See, that's a creation. This is a creation of the thinking of soul. This is not the truth. This is a kind of a creation, kind of what is the people intelligence deceives this by your thinking, by our thinking and thought, completely deceives. Then people just they recognize that the entity of the things just coming up with the six senses. When you see this, just come out without the entity. That's the reason when I say this, it's completely different. Oh yes, that's a thinking. That's a thinking thought. That's the things very, very difficult, hard to understand, even in a concept. That's kind of a trick, kind of trick. This is trick though, trick of the thinking or thought. All of them seems to be outside of you. Seems what are the people thinking about this way, this thing. That's the reason people just try to just figure out what it is, what we have to do with that. But that is just a creation. That's a creation of or imagination, the same things. Imagination or creation of your thinking. That is not true. All of them seems to be outside of you. When do you start to think such? See, when you're in I don't know much about after you just come, after you just burst, then when you just yes, the day before. Well, I may say just this is a kind of the lives with the function of the consciousness or the recognition. So that after you're born, and then the before you just recognize the things. Before you just recognize the things. Before this time, although these things just have a kind of a function of the consciousness of the recognition, but it doesn't work. It doesn't work. Why it doesn't work? But I don't know much about it, but that's kind of the thing. So before you just recognize the things, see, what the Japanese say is monogokoro tsukuru. I don't know much about what you say in English, but the kind of things. Monogokoro tsukuru is a kind of the time or kind of opportunity. You just put when you just put the mind, heart to the things. And that's what Japanese says. It says so, but I don't know much also what I'm just saying. But it doesn't matter. So although just we have a kind of a function of the recognition of the consciousness, but before at a certain time, certain age, although it's, as I just mentioned about it, this one has a kind of the function of the recognition of consciousness, but it doesn't work. But the time just comes, and then all of a sudden it just works. Then you just recognize this. Then when you just recognize this, but only just you recognize this, you never just recognize this, because as far as a function of the recognition, the things being just recognized, and the person who just recognized. Otherwise you never just be able to just recognize the things. So when you just recognize this, at the same times you just recognize this one. Otherwise you just recognize that thing. You see, this is the thing. When you just recognize this, then what you just thinking about, what you just say, what just called ourselves, just come out. Before you just recognize this one never happened, never exists. Oh, this is a kind of trick. People don't know. People never just recognize these things, because what just the people will be able to just recognize the things is after recognize the things, then you'll be able to recognize. But the people never just recognize it before recognize the thing. See, before recognize the things is no different. Well, nothing exists between this one and this one. Oh, this is that's the reason. That's the reason Shakyamuni just refused to answer or refused to mention about what she just did. Because in concept, in thinking about ourselves, these things never happen. So you never know much about what I'm just saying. Only you know much about, only you understand much about after recognition. After recognition. As far as after recognition is not true, because as far as recognition is there is two things at least. That things, this things. Otherwise, you never be able to recognize the things. But see, before recognize the things is exactly no difference between that things and this thing. Only oneness. You see, no different rules. These things never just happen in your thinking or thought. That's the reason you never know, you never be able to just understand what things happen before recognition in concept. However, fortunately, Shakyamuni Buddha just realized these things. See, this is most, this is most the useful, helpful matter for human being. Otherwise, we don't know much about our truth at all. Our truth is before recognition. What are you thinking about ourselves is a creation or imagination of a thinking or thought, entirely different from our truth. Right. That's the reason we, the Shakyamuni Buddha or the patriarchs just recommend us to do zazen. If you sincerely just want to just realize who we are, only zazen will be able to just realize this. When do you start to think sad? Discretion have used Theon Dasbury. Only discretion of a thinking. Thinking just regards you to this and this. It is different. That's the creation of the thinking of our imagination of the thinking also discretion. That is not true. The truth is when you face this, you just become this one. No different at all. No separation at all. This is our truth. It is a talk in the world of discretion. Right? The people that's completely deceived by discretion. When discretion stops, and this is a very important thing, as far as just if you just really want to just realize who you are, this is a very important thing. When discretion stops, it is just a movement of your own as a sense of oneness. Right now. When you face this, you simply just become as you faced. Oh, there is no one just no one existing. What you just what we just think about ourselves or the self, simply just as it is. Oh, this is our truth. When discretion stop, the discretion stop, it is just movement of your own as a sense of one. You see. So when you face this, you just become this. When you hear the sound, you just become sound itself. When you just smell, you just the things you just smell. See? This is a oneness. No separation between you and the things you just face to, you just hear, you just smell it. Even the thinking, even thinking. You see, from the morning until now, it's just so many things just come up in your mind. See, there's nothing left. Only just thinking. You're right now thinking. That's it. Nothing left at all. Because oneness. See, one. Always just one. Become one. And then you just become this, and then you just other things you just this face just completely disappears, and the things just come up. So many things. So many things just come out. There's so many changes. This changing is our truth. This this changing our truth. Not this what people just thinking about the self. That's entirely different. It's a creation or imagination of thinking or so. That is not true. Okay, so being the thing is self. So when you just face it, you just become dead. Being the thing is self. It is your state. You just become dead. This is the truth right now. This is your truth right now. Your truth through yourself. It is your state, and your state directs the state of the things because of oneness. See, when you just become this, the things become yourself. This is oneness. No separation at all. No separation at all. Of which it is not the things to think. The thing is, even you just try to figure out what it is. The more you're just thinking about what it is, the more you just separate from your truth. So that you just give up. Just give up the thinking also. This is our truth is entirely different from, entirely separate from the thinking also. Only thinking or thought. You see, we are just deceived. We are deceived by thinking or thought. That's the reason we don't know much about who we are because of thinking, also. So that for a time being, you just forget about the thinking or thought. You see, what we are just acting is nothing concerned with the thinking or thought. Entirely different. Entirely. So you don't need to worry about. Just throw them away as they are. Throw them away as they are. Nothing concerned our thinking or thought. So that you practice zazen at ease, without any the anxiety. Just to do zazen. You see, then you'll be able to just realize who you are. Our truth is entirely different from what we are just thinking about. The self, ourselves, entirely different. You see, that's the reason only these things we have to do. We have to only this thing. Then you'll be just you'll be able to just satisfy with yourself. You are entirely just satisfied with present yourself. The feel very the pocket feel perfectly ease. Only that will be able to just gain this truth, your truth. That's the reason for the Shakyamuni Buddha just recommend us to do that. Because we have eyes, can we see things? Because there are things, can we see them? That sort of things is named by human being afterward. You see, when you see this, as I just mentioned, you just become dead. But see, there is no separation. There is no separation. So we don't know much about what it is. See what it is. See, no separation at all. No separation. So we never be aware of what it is, and also we don't need to aware of what it is, because oneness itself. See, itself doesn't itself is not necessary they realize what it is, and itself is never be able to just realize what it is, because it itself, you never be able to just aware of what it is, who we are, because itself. But if you just recognize what it is completely separate from this one and this one. Complete separation between this one and this one. Oneness, or itself, is never be able to just understand recognize what it is, or it's impossible to just recognize what it is, because oneness, as it is. So then we just recognize this. Then we just put a name. This one, this, this one, this later. But the thing is, unfortunately, what people just will be able to just recognize is after recognition. After the things just come up in your mind is the things the only after recognition. After recognition, before recognition, nothing happened in your mind, unfortunately, in your thinking or thought. So you never be able to just realize or recognize what before recognition is. Before recognition is our truth. Before recognition, but unfortunately, never just happen in our mind. So we never just, even we just assume or imagine, even we cannot imagine what it is. That's the reason only thousand will be able to just realize what's happened in before recognition. That's much that's much important. So that's recommend you to do. To say that all exists is when reflected in your own eyes. We just recognize the things, then say, recognize the things, then we just recognize the things are themselves, which are reflected in your eyes. To say that all exists in what you reflect in your own. We just recognize the things themselves, which are reflected in our eyes. Just a second. Just a second. To say that all exists, to say all these what you reflect. We just recognize the things themselves, which are reflected in our senses. What it says is, as I just already mentioned about, what just come up in our mind is the things just reflected. The things just reflect on your eyes or in your ears. See, but that is another truth. You see, the thing. When you just face this one, you simply just become different. So you never just recognize what it is. See? Then you just recognize that. Then you just you just think about, oh, this is the thing, this is this one. That's it after recognition. After recognition. But before recognition, no different. So that you never just realize what it is. What it is. You never realize. You never be able to be aware of. See? So that no problem at all. You don't know much about what's going on. Then you just recognize that, and there are the kind of things that so you'll be able to just recognize what's going on. Then you just you just say the things are good or the bad or like or dislike or so many things just. But before recognition, nothing happened. All those things just the going on, but you never be able to aware of what is going on. So no problem at all, no question at all. But after you just recognize the things, after you just recognize what's going on, then a sort of trouble or the question or the suffering just happen. But before recognition, nothing happened. Then everything just come up and disappear. This is the truth. This is our truth. Those who have experienced becoming one with the things should observe carefully. This is a very important thing. You see, people just say, oh, "I just become this," or "I just become one." But the thing is, as long as you just say, "I just become one," at least the things is just separated. Otherwise, you just recognize the things. So, see, this is another the true. This is another true revelation or realization. But the people just have this kind of experience. The people just admit or just allow this kind of experience. But this is entirely different. This is not the true enlightenment. So this kind of misunderstanding just happen with so many practitioners. That's the reason Jinen Roshi just mentioned. See, very careful. This kind of the realization or revelation is not a true enlightenment. Okay, those who have experienced become one with the things should observe carefully. When you recognize to have been one, to say the least, it is too unfortunate. There is a separation. Then you'll be able to, there is a separation between this and that. Then you'll be able to just recognize. Oh, I know much about the truth. I know much about who we are. This is entirely different. You see, because as long as you just know much about the truth, as long as you know much about truth, there is a separation between the knowing what the truth is and then the person who know much about what the truth. There is a separation between that and this. So if completely just become one, that's I just mentioned about You never just realize which is which is which, because oneness, because of one. It is too unfortunate to have become one is real, but these kind of things we don't just deny it, but still it is not still something more. The people who just realize this, people just have this experience, more practice. Then what kind of practice? The people who just realize these things in Asia. But again, she just again she mentioned, to become one is a real, but the knowledge to be one is also vanished. This much we have to just do. See, becoming one is still separate from that and this. Then become one. This kind of stage is not necessary. Then the more you just practice and then becoming one is entirely vanished. This is the thing. This is a true enlightenment. If you don't go to that stage, the other remain. That's much. If you just completely become one, even just knowing just become one, just vanish, and then you just completely become one. Then what you think about the other just completely disappear. The other, what you thinking about the other just disappears. Then what you thinking about the self and also disappear, vanish, nothing left at all. This is about truth. This is the situation. This is a state of right now, right here. Okay. And then to have become one is a real but or this is it. If you don't go to this is more okay. It is a matter to realize afterward. Huh? It is a matter to realize after. Oh, no. You, although you just if yes, if you just realize or if you just know much about what the truth is of who you are, but still the person or people who just recognize the who you are or what the truth is left, then this person completely vanishes. Then no, as I just mentioned, there is no separation between and then. Then you'll be able to just completely free from everything afterward. That's much we have to do. For the first time you notice, you realize that for the first time you notice, you realize that while you were one with things, there was not to be one. You who were watching and thing didn't appear. This much we have to do. Then, as I just mentioned, completely the things, everything just disappeared. Nothing left at all. Nothing left at all. Right, as I just mentioned, right now, right here. You see, this is true enlightenment. This is terms. So that then we don't need to say anything about well, I just know much about. I just realize. I recognize what the truth is. Who we are. We don't need to say anything, but nothing left. There's something left, so that's the reason we have to say, oh, this is the truth. This is enlightenment. This is Buddha or whatever. Also, nothing there. Why we have to say anything? Why we have to say anything? Nothing left. That's much completely things what you just thinking about disappear. It's a very peace itself. See, this is this state, this condition. See, we have to just experience once. Once is enough. That's why. That is enough. Nothing exists. Nothing exists. Ah, this is a true ourselves. Through we call the Dharma world. Dharma world. You may say universe. Okay, that's expression. That's an explanation. But what we are right now is this state. See, completely peace. Completely peaceful, so that we don't need to just create a kind of states, a kind of worlds of the peaceful or whatever. It's not necessary to see. We are completely, it's fundamental, essential. We are completely peace, peace itself. So why we have to just thinking about the kind of creation of the peaceful world or peaceful mind or in concept. It's not necessary. There is nothing to become a problem. See, as Jinen Roshi just mentioned, this is completely true. There is nothing to become a problem. No problem at all. Nothing problem because nothing exists at all. Nothing exists at all. So that's much what people thinking about the universe or kind of a society world. It's entirely different. That's the kind of, as I just mentioned, that's the kind of creation, imagination of the thinking or thought. The people is completely deceived by our thinking. That's it. There is no one who lives knowing the reality of now himself. You see, we don't know much about. We never be able to the aware of what we are doing. You see, right now, we never be able to just be aware of what we are doing. Then they go like this. Oh, I'm just talking. Oh, I'm listening. That's later. This is not true. This is a later. The things what's going on is without awareness. The things just going on without awareness. Without awareness. So that there is no problem at all. Why? Because there is no one who lives knowing the reality of now himself. And this is completely, and this is entirely true. You see, we don't know much about it. We don't know much about what's going on here. Then you recognize this. Then things, what people think, oh, what's going on. That's a rate. That's a creation, imagination of the thinking of ourselves. Although we don't deny it, that's a kind of the function. It's a wonderful function. Only the human being just have. But the thing is, we just deceived by that. That is not true. That is not true. The truth, what truth is, was the things just going on without awareness, before recognition, before consciousness. This is our truth. This is the truth of the universe. Because you are said not to select, you get ready not to do so. Because you are said, because you are said not to follow the dependent the condition, you prepare not to follow and to stop it. This is not good. This is not good. You use the art face by human view to human view to. This is a kind of trouble of the thinking also. Then when you just you just say that you don't you don't need to this and this, but you try to do it. You try to do it. See, but see, as I just mentioned, but this is another kind of life with thinking. See, our activity, our action is nothing concerned with the thinking of thought. See? Before you recognize, we just act. We just act. We just did. Then you just recognize that, what I have to do, what I have done, something like this. That is later. Before you just recognize, we just simply act. See, our action activity is entirely different from our thinking. Completely different. So that we don't need to just do the things that what you are said. You see, you simply just rely on your activity or action. That's enough. But this is very hard. See, but as long as people just try to do anything with thinking also, it's very hard. You see, before you just want to do something, you just thinking about what to then you just totally exhausted. Totally before you just you have to do something. Yeah, it's no use at all. Just be, in a sense, just rely on your this activities, the action without doing anything, without thinking about anything by your thinking yourself. Simply just rely on your act and the activity. So you're not gonna have any problem at all. But this is very hard. But this, although it's very hard, but this is the most valuable thing for us to do. The reality is the reality is the realization of oneself. See, when I just face this, when I just face this, I just become this. This is our truth. This is my truth. Oh. We'll be able to just understand it easily. Oh. You see, this must entirely just the people just misunderstand who we are, what the truth is. That's the reason we have to do the zazen. Only zazen you'll be able to just realize or recognize this misunderstanding. There's only one chance, only one occasion. And as long as there's within you, you will know what's called the life. Then after after you just pass away, you never be able to do this. So only this time you can do zazen. What zazen is, as I just already many times mentioned about. See, whatever just thinking also, so just come out. Come up in your mind. See, just throw them away as they are. This is enough. This is enough. You see, why you cannot just realize the oneness. Right now, right here is thinking, and the thought is a kind of a block or hazard. See, then it's just you just taken out, then you just become one with it. Very simple. Only thinking also, just kind of rock or kind of harder. So that whatever just thinking or thought just come up in your mind, just throw them away as it. Don't worry about that. As I just mentioned, our activity over the action is nothing concerned with the thinking or thought. This activity or action is a universal one, universal activity or thinking, not human beings' activity or action. So you don't need to worry about. You don't need to worry about just throwing away, about throwing away the thinking or so. Although it's very hard, I know much about, but most valuable things for us to do. Then you'll be able just to realize who you are. Only this way you can do it. Merci beaucoup. Muchas gracias. So if you have any question, see, just send an email or the kind of the telephone call will be okay. All right, anytime we go, because this our truth is or thinking also is so sensitive, so that it's very hard to understand what's the thinking or thought or the truth, our truth, even in concept. So that's just, I would like to just ask you to just ask what it is. So that the more you'll be able to just understand who you are, what the truth is in concept, the more you'll be able to just sit. Otherwise, it's very difficult to sit. That's the reason I would like to ask you just any question will be all right.